They vanished without a trace. But they all have one thing in common. They're still out there. From cartel bosses hiding in jungles, to a mother accused of murdering her own child, to an Olympic athlete who became a killer with a $10 million bounty on his head. These are not petty criminals. They're fugitives on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, the agency's highest priority targets. You may have passed them in a crowd. You may have seen their faces on a flyer, a screen, or a news broadcast. You just didn't know who they really were. Because this isn't fiction. These aren't movie villains. These are real people, real crimes, real victims, and they are still on the run. And number 2 is insane. So where are they right now? Let's begin.
Sandy Lee, right here behind me, was the first person in her family to go to college. And at the age of 23, she had her entire life ahead of her. But in 2016, she was murdered in North Carolina.
Number 10, Alejandro Rosales Castillo, August 9th, 2016. Charlotte, North Carolina. At a quick trip on Eastway Drive, Truk Kwan Sandy Lee Lay waited for someone. Her former co-worker and ex-boyfriend, Alejandro Castillo, had asked to meet her, said he wanted to pay back the money he owed her. She agreed. What happened next was far from a simple repayment. Investigators believe Castillo, only 17 at the time, had other plans. He was picked up by his new girlfriend, Amia Feaster, in a red Dodge Caliber. They drove to the meeting spot. Sandy Lay was last seen alive at that gas station. Castillo forced her to withdraw $1,000 from her bank account, according to transaction records. Then, instead of letting her go, he took her to a wooded area in Cabarrus County, shot her once in the head, left her body in a ravine. Then he took off in her car. Feaster was with him the entire time. 6 days later, on August 15th, Sandy's car was found abandoned at a bus stop in Phoenix, Arizona. The next day, Castillo and Feaster crossed the border into Nogales, Mexico. Border footage confirms it. Castillo was calm. Another young fugitive who vanished into thin air. Police found Sandy's body 2 days later, August 17th. That's when the real manhunt began. Feaster's red Dodge was found on August 13th in Charlotte. Feaster and Castillo had called their families earlier that week, said they were safe, didn't know where they were. Their parents feared the worst. Maybe they were being held hostage. But they weren't. They were already gone. By November 2nd, Castillo was formally charged with first-degree murder. In February 2017, another charge followed: unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. Then, in a surprising turn, Amia Feaster turned herself in to Mexican authorities in October 2016. She was 19 at the time. Her mother helped arrange the surrender with U.S. agents. Amia was flown to Texas, then transferred to Charlotte. She was charged with accessory after the fact and larceny of a motor vehicle. She later posted bond and was released. Feaster told investigators they had been staying with Castillo's cousins in Aguascalientes, Mexico. Then one day, Castillo vanished. No word, no contact, gone again. He speaks both English and Spanish. Born in Arizona, he's believed to be hiding somewhere in Mexico. Investigators say he might be in San Francisco de los Romo, Pabellón de Archaga, or maybe even Guanajuato or Veracruz. The FBI added Castillo to their 10 most wanted list on October 24, 2017. He was just 21 years old, the youngest fugitive on the list at the time. His reward is $250,000. Number 9. Bhadreshkumar Patel. April 12, 2015. It was around 9:30 p.m. at a Dunkin' Donuts shop in Hanover, Maryland. The security camera caught a quiet moment. 2 employees, husband and wife, walked into the kitchen. Seconds later, only the man returned. Calm, silent. He turned off an oven, and then he vanished. The woman never walked back out. Customers came in soon after, confused when no one appeared to serve them. One of them flagged down a police officer nearby. When the officer entered the store and checked the back room, he found something horrifying. 21-year-old Patel was lying on the floor. Stab wounds, blunt force trauma, a kitchen knife nearby. She was already gone. The man in the CCTV footage was her husband, Bhadreshkumar Patel. The two had been married since 2013. They were both Indian nationals, visiting the U.S. to stay with a relative who owned the Dunkin' Donuts. What investigators later learned added more weight to the crime. Palak had made a call to her family moments before the attack. She wanted to return to India. Bhadreshkumar didn't. He overheard the call. That's when the argument started. And that's when he snapped. After the killing, he walked back to their apartment, just blocks away, picked up some of his things, called a cab. By the time police realized what had happened, he was gone. The taxi driver said Patel was calm, not shaken. He even paid cash. He checked into a hotel near Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. Surveillance footage shows him paying for a room, again in cash. He left the next morning. The last confirmed sighting of Patel was at Newark Penn Station around 10 a.m. on April 13, 2015. He took a shuttle from the hotel and entered the station, and then disappeared. No plane ticket, no passport use, no trace. Authorities believe he may have received help. Maybe from family. Maybe he crossed the border illegally. Maybe he never left the U.S. at all. He has ties to New Jersey, Georgia, Kentucky, Illinois, and Canada. He was also born in Viramgam, Gujarat, India. It's possible he's hiding with relatives, or using a false identity, but more than 9 years later, Patel is still out there, armed, dangerous, and still on the run. The FBI added him to the 10 most wanted fugitives list on April 18, 2017. The reward is $250,000 for information leading to his arrest. But until then, he remains one of America's most wanted men. Number 8. Cindy Rodriguez Singh.
We are here today to announce the addition of Cindy Rodriguez Singh to the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
A missing child, a missing mother, and a community demanding answers. Cindy Rodriguez Singh was born in Texas. On the outside, she was a mother of 7, but behind closed doors, police say her 6-year-old son, Noel Alvarez, was suffering. He had a chronic lung disease. He needed oxygen. He needed care. But according to witnesses, he got none of it. She believed he was possessed. She called him evil, and one day in October 2022, he vanished. Months later, Texas Child Protective Services requested a welfare check. Police arrived. Cindy said Noel was in Mexico with his father. That was a lie.
At 11, the mother of a missing Everman 6-year-old is now on one of the most wanted fugitives in America.
2 days later, March 22, 2023, Cindy, her husband Arshdeep Singh, and their 6 other children boarded a flight to India. Noel wasn't with them. Authorities believe he never left Texas. A police K-9 later hit on a carpet and the family's newly built patio, both suspected to have traces of human remains. In October 2023, Cindy was charged with capital murder. A federal warrant soon followed. The FBI believes she fled to India or Mexico. In July 2025, the Bureau raised the stakes. Rodriguez Singh was added to the FBI's most wanted list. Reward: $250,000. She stands between 5 feet 1 inch and 5 feet 3 inches, weighs around 130 pounds, and has several tattoos. FBI Special Agent R. Joseph Rothrock said they weren't going to stop and would continue seeking justice for Noel. Everman Police Chief Craig Spencer added that they had made a promise, and they would not break it. Number 7. Omar Alexander Cardenas. It was a Thursday night, August 15, 2019. Outside the Hair Icon barbershop in Sylmar, Los Angeles, a man named Jabali Dumas stood on the sidewalk. He was 46, unarmed. Just before 8 p.m., witnesses reported seeing another man standing about 30 feet away. That man was 24-year-old Omar Alexander Cardenas. According to LAPD Chief Michelle Moore, Cardenas raised his gun and fired 9 rounds. One shot hit Dumas in the head. He died at the scene. Cardenas didn't stick around. He ran to his vehicle and vanished. No one really knows why it happened. Police never confirmed if the 2 men even knew each other. But the bullet told its story. In April 2020, almost a year after the shooting, Cardenas was officially charged with murder. By September 2021, he was also facing federal charges for fleeing prosecution. Authorities believe he crossed the border. Mexico is the most likely destination, but the trail runs cold. Cardenas has family in Southern California, so he could have circled back. The FBI says he might be hiding in plain sight, maybe working construction.
Regarding this, his whereabouts, it's unknown at this point, and the trail has gone cold. Our efforts with the family and associates have not produced positive results, and we are worried that he has relatives in Mexico that he could have fled to.
He was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted list on July 20, 2022. A $250,000 reward is still on the table, but no sightings, no calls, no closure. Number 6. Giovanni Vicente Mosquera Serrano. He's known in Venezuela as El Viejo, and in the U.S. as one of the most dangerous gang leaders alive.
Investigators say Giovanni Mosquera Serrano is the second in command of Tren de Aragua. They believe that he has been directing criminal operations here in the United States for this violent gang.
Born in 1988, Giovanni Mosquera is accused of running the financial arm of Tren de Aragua, Venezuela's largest criminal gang, a group now labeled by the U.S. as a foreign terrorist organization. His crimes are drug trafficking, murder, forced prostitution, kidnapping. In June 2025, Mosquera was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted list, the first Tren de Aragua member ever placed there. He's charged with conspiring to provide material support to a terrorist group, cocaine trafficking from Colombia to the U.S. Reward: $3 million. He's believed to be moving between Colombia and Venezuela. Both countries have strong Tren de Aragua operations. Despite joint efforts from the FBI, DEA, DHS, ATF, and Colombian forces, his exact location remains unknown. But there's more. On July 9, 2025, an OSINT account on X claimed that Mosquera was killed in a firefight with Colombian soldiers. A second account pointed to a Tren de Aragua leader, also named El Viejo, killed near the Colombia-Venezuela border. Timing raises doubts. Mosquera was officially added to the most wanted list after this alleged death. As of today, the FBI says he's still alive, still wanted. Whether dead or hiding in plain sight, no confirmation exists. For now, the reward remains. So does the fear. Number 5. Wilver Villegas Palomino. His nickname is Carlos El Puerco. His real name, Wilver Villegas Palomino. And in Colombia, he's not just a wanted man. He's a warlord.
Guys, yeah, this man is said to be part of a group known for so-called narco-terrorism, when drug trafficking money is also used for things like kidnappings and murder.
Born in Curumani, Colombia, in 1981, Palomino rose through the ranks of the National Liberation Army, a guerrilla group accused of funding its operations through cocaine trafficking. For years, he helped move tons of drugs into the U.S. To American authorities, he was a narco-terrorist. On February 12, 2020, Palomino was indicted in Texas. The charges were narco-terrorism, cocaine importation, international conspiracy. By September of that same year, the U.S. placed a $5 million bounty on his head. Nothing happened for 3 years. Then, on April 14, 2023, his name replaced another on the FBI's most wanted list. But that's where the trail ends. The FBI believes he's still in Colombia, protected by his criminal network, moving quietly between jungle compounds and cartel-controlled towns. No arrests, no sightings, just rumors, and a $5 million reward that no one has dared to claim. Number 4. Fausto Isidro Meza-Flores. He was born in 1982 in Navojoa, Sonora, but he didn't stay small for long. In the 1990s, he entered the drug world, working for the Juarez cartel. They called him El Chapo Isidro. When his first boss, Amado Carrillo Fuentes, died during botched plastic surgery, Meza-Flores jumped ship. He joined the Beltran Leyva cartel. There he earned a reputation, daring, ruthless, loyal. That loyalty paid off. By the 2000s, he had his own group, Los Mazatlecos. They operated in Sinaloa, Nayarit, and parts of Baja California. Drugs flowed north. Meth, cocaine, heroin, marijuana, everything. In July 2010, Meza-Flores' name surfaced again, this time in Tubutama. Gunfire tore through the desert. Over 30 men were killed. Sinaloa cartel versus Beltran Leyva. 11 vehicles were left behind, riddled with bullets, marked with X on the glass. Some reports say Meza-Flores personally led the ambush. He survived and kept rising. Over the next decade, his crew was blamed for dozens of murders, kidnappings, and clashes with rival gangs. In 2013, U.S. officials froze his assets under the Kingpin Act, targeting him, his family, and his front companies. Still, he stayed free. On January 19, 2013, he was reportedly spotted at a youth basketball game in Nuevo León. No arrest, no raid, then silence for years. That changed on February 4, 2025. Meza-Flores was added to the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Today, the U.S. is offering $5 million for him. His face is undated, his movements unknown. Last reports say he might still be in Mexico, somewhere in the mountains, or maybe in Mazatlan. But there's no proof. No verified sighting in over a decade. Just stories and fear. Number 3. Ruja Ignatova.
One 2, 3. Applause, please.
This time, it's not a gang leader. It's a woman in a business suit. Ruja Ignatova, known around the world as the Crypto Queen. In 2014, she launched OneCoin, a fake cryptocurrency that promised huge returns. Her words were powerful, her stage presence even more. She wore black dresses, red lipstick, and she talked like a tech visionary. But it was all a lie. OneCoin was never real. There was no blockchain, no real value. People around the world poured money in. Billions of dollars vanished. China, Uganda, Pakistan, Brazil, everywhere. By 2017, the walls started closing in. October 25th, Ruja was scheduled to speak at a Lisbon conference, but instead, she flew from Sofia, Bulgaria to Athens, Greece. And then, nothing. She vanished. No CCTV. No trace. No credit card use. In 2019, her brother Constantine was arrested and pleaded guilty to money laundering. He said Ruja had been tipped off, that she knew the US was coming for her. Interpol issued a red notice. Europol added her to its most wanted list. Germany launched multiple raids. On June 30th, 2022, the FBI adds a new fugitive to the 10 most wanted list. And then came the rumors. By 2023, Bulgarian investigators believed she might be dead. One informant said she was killed on a yacht in the Ionian Sea in 2018. The order allegedly came from Taki, a Bulgarian crime boss, with links to the OneCoin scheme. According to reports, her body was cut up and thrown overboard. The man who supposedly carried out the murder is now in a Dutch prison. Still, the FBI isn't convinced. Their agents say the case is still active. They're working off the assumption that Ruja is alive. In 2024, her reward was raised to $5 million. A UK court froze her global assets, and the FBI pushed out more episodes and interviews to keep the case in the public eye. Her charges include wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering. If convicted, she faces up to 90 years in prison. Number 2. Yulan Adonai Archaga Carias, a short man from Honduras, 5 feet 5 inches, 160 pounds. But behind that size is one of the most feared crime lords in Central America.
With President Trump's recent designation of criminal gang MS-13 as a foreign terrorist organization, the U.S. Department of State is re-announcing a reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the arrest and/or conviction of Yulan Adonai Archaga Carias.
The FBI says he controls MS-13 operations across Honduras. He goes by many names: Alexander Mendoza, Porky, Yulan Andoni. He supplies firearms, drugs, and cash to gang members operating across the U.S. And he's accused of ordering multiple killings. He wasn't always free. In 2015, Carias was arrested in Honduras. The charges, money laundering and criminal association. He was convicted and imprisoned. But 5 years later, he vanished, February 13th, 2020. He's moved out of prison for a court hearing in El Progreso, 28 kilometers from San Pedro Sula. No helicopter, no alert to the military police, just a van, almost no guards. That morning, chaos began. A group dressed as military police storms the courthouse. They bring in a decoy, another man in cuffs, a distraction. Then comes a second group. They bring in a man dressed in a black tunic, standard wear for victims or witnesses. But inside the tunic, guns and ammo. MS-13 had planned the entire thing. Within minutes, Carias walks free, disappearing in a hail of bullets. He hasn't been seen since. On November 3, 2021, the FBI adds a new name to its 10 most wanted fugitives list. The U.S. indicted him for racketeering, drug trafficking, and weapons charges. At first, the reward was $100,000. But in February 2023, the pressure increased. The U.S. Department of State put $5 million on the table. The Treasury followed up by freezing his assets under Executive Order 13,581. As of today, Carias is still believed to be in Honduras, protected, armed, hidden, and still calling the shots. Number 1. Ryan James' wedding. Once he wore the maple leaf on his chest. Now he carries an alias, El Jefe.
A former Olympic snowboarder is on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list, and there is a $10 million reward for any information on how to find him. Ryan Wedding is a Canadian national who competed at the 2002 Games in Salt Lake City. He is accused of trafficking drugs from Colombia through Mexico and the U.S. into Canada.
Back in 2002, Ryan Wedding represented Canada in the Winter Olympics. Men's parallel giant slalom. He placed to 24th. Not remarkable, but enough to mark him as a rising athlete. He came from a snowboarding family, learned the sport at Mount Baldy, a ski resort run by his grandparents in Thunder Bay. By the age of 21, he had a silver and bronze in the Junior World Championships. But after the Olympics, things changed. Wedding enrolled at Simon Fraser University, dropped out, turned to marijuana, then cocaine. In 2008, he tried to buy coke from a U.S. federal agent. In 2010, he went to prison for 4 years. After his release, authorities say he didn't slow down. He leveled up. By 2023, investigators say Wedding wasn't just dealing drugs. He was leading a cartel-connected empire stretching across borders. And with it came blood. Court documents name him as the prime mover in multiple murders tied to the drug trade. 3 victims, Jagtar Sidhu and his wife Harbhajan, shot in November 2023. Then Mohammed Zafar, May 2024. Investigators believe Wedding ordered those hits. But that's not all. Wedding is believed to be a top-level figure inside the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico. His aliases include Public Enemy, Giant, and James Conrad King.
Wedding went from being an elite athlete to running one of the most sophisticated drug trafficking networks in North America.
He's 6 feet 3 inches, 240 pounds, and reportedly commands respect and fear. In October 2024, U.S. prosecutors charged him with continuing criminal enterprise, conspiracy to export cocaine, and murder. The next March, the FBI added him to its 10 most wanted list. Reward: $10 million. Wanted for murder, drug trafficking, attempted murder, criminal conspiracy. Current location: believed to be somewhere in Mexico, possibly under cartel protection. These are the faces on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. They've outlasted manhunts, surveillance, and international warrants. Some are hiding in forests, some in cities, some may be in plain sight. But no matter where they are, they're not forgotten. Because justice doesn't stop just because time passes. If you found this video eye-opening, hit the like button. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you think will be caught next? And if you want more real-world investigations, cold cases, and the deepest fugitive dives, subscribe and turn on the bell. This story isn't over. And the chase? It's still on.